Hey guys, Z here. Just on June 16th of 2020, Operation Steelwave was released and made available to all Rainbow Six Siege players. Now, I hope everyone's staying safe and everyone's staying healthy. Because of the coronavirus pandemic, I'm sure time has flown by for everyone, including myself. And very surprisingly to me, the very next season for Year 5 is just around the corner to be released in September. I am unbelievably excited for Operation Shadow Legacy to drop, and I hear that Sam Zero Fisher will create one of the biggest jumps and gaps and changes in general in the meta we've seen for attackers in a long time. A lot of people are even comparing him to maybe whenever Valkyrie was introduced in the game back in Dustline, or whenever Mira was introduced in the game in Velvet Shell. And that is a huge change because all Ubisoft has been doing recently is nerfing the defender's utility into the ground. But now that we have an attacker that can kind of counter and look as to where the defenders are, it gives the attackers an even better edge on the defenders for them just having to hold angles. So I think this will make it even more balanced and even more fun when we're playing both sides of the game, and I think that's a great idea that Ubisoft is now doing this. Along with Zero being introduced for the attacking team, Ubisoft is also adding in new gun sights which anyone can use, of course changing upon the operator and the guns, and there's also going to be many new balance changes among the operators that already exist in the game for both defense and offense. So we'll be talking about all that today and what has to come for Operation Hidden Legacy. If you guys enjoyed the video, please feel free to like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. I will be always trying to put out new content for you guys whenever something big happens. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. So starting off with the big changes first, we'll start with the new attacker being introduced, Sam Fisher. Now, Sam Fisher has actually been seen in other Tom Clancy games. As we all know, the Tom Clancy series have crossovers all the time. As for such, Caveira from Rainbow Six made an appearance in Ghost Wildlands, where she was with some of the other operators in a completely different game, but that shows that they're all in the same universe. Sam Fisher is part of a game called Tom Clancy Splinter Cell, and with him he brings the exact same gadget he had there, except somewhat reworked into a way where it works better for Rainbow Six. And of course, even after joining Team Rainbow, his gadget is still very recognizable, as it is the 3 circles with the green tint, now just moved from where his forehead was to now onto his gun. Now, why is Sam Fisher going to be so significant in the current meta of Rainbow Six Siege? One being his gun. As of right now, the assault rifle being made available for both Ace and Fuse, the AK-12, is debatably the best gun in the game. And his loadout doesn't stop there. He's not just limited to the SC-3000 assault rifle. He's another operator who has the option to carry another primary, and it's the MP7 SMG, the same MP7 that Bandit has. Now, as we all know, the MP7 is a very good SMG, so now he has 2 options for very high DPS, and while the SC-3000 might have a little bit of recoil, they're both not insane. So he has 2 very good primary options, and he has a claymore or a frag grenade at his disposal. That combined with his gadget, which I'll get to in a second, alone makes him one of the strongest attacking operators. And he's not a 3 armor, he's a 2 armor 2 speed, so he doesn't necessarily have the ability to rush as well as maybe an Ashe or an IQ, but the ability is there with his cameras because he can throw them up and watch his flanks very easily in case someone on their team dies. Now, when it comes to his gadget, he has 4 of them, and essentially they're cameras you can put up on any surface whatsoever, whether that's a floor, a roof, a barricade, a reinforced wall, or a soft wall. You can look through both sides of it, and it has one shot of a taser or a laser, something along those lines, like a Twitch drone does. So what you do is you just aim at it, you only get 1 shot, and you can either destroy 1 attacker gadget, or you can hit an attacker for up to 5 health. Now, the reason why this is so good for the attackers is that they need more operators with intel, because as of right now, the only person with an extra quote-unquote drone is Yana, and she wasn't even made to have an extra drone. She was introduced to Team Rainbow for her ability to kind of distract or divert their attention from people they might have been pressuring onto her drone, so that way her teammates could either ambush them or maybe have a time to get away for a second. And the reason why so many people play her extra ability as a drone is because the attackers need more intel. Now, this is so game-changing because the defenders have so many people to watch where the attackers are coming from and be able to tell their flanks, so the people roaming outside of sight, where to go to get easy kills. They have Mira, they have Valkyrie, they have Mozzie, they have anyone who can carry bulletproof cameras, they have Maestro, they have all these other people who can carry, and they have the default cams for that matter as well. That alone, if they go all those people, it's an easy win for them. They have Echo who can even stun them with his drones. So by rather just nerfing the defenders into the ground and actually giving the attackers an operator who really gives them the opportunity to watch flanks or to look into sight and see who's where and toss frag grenades without having to really worry about getting peeked from anywhere because you know that you're safe with your extra cameras is so huge. And when it comes to taking walls, the way that I see this is as a huge nerf to Mira, and also a huge nerf to Bandit and Cade for all that matter, because it gives the attackers an even bigger edge on making it harder to Bandit trick and making it harder to hold a wall with a mirror. Because if the mirror is next to, let's say, well, actually, let's say you're above sight because you can actually shoot through floors. So you can just toss this thing down on the floor above room as long as you're safe, obviously, making sure someone's watching your flank. You can toss this thing above the mirror or above where, let's say on Chalet where garage door is, and it's an easy way to get rid of the bandit batteries, it's an easy way to destroy the mirror that might be holding there, and you have 4 of them, so if you miss one spot, it's no big deal, you still have 3 more. So all in all, I think adding Zero to Rainbow Six is a fantastic idea. And he might need a little bit tweaking here and there, as every new operator does, but I think that he's a great addition because he will make it so much easier for the attackers to get intel on where the defenders are, even when it comes to flanks, and watching their own flanks. So I think he's a great addition to Team Rainbow. Now, switching subjects, still staying on the matter of the new season, we're going to switch over to the new gun sights that they're going to introduce. So, very interestingly enough, we're going to have a lot of changes put to the gun sights that we have already, and we're being introduced to a lot of new ones. And one of which in particular, and I'll talk about it more when I get there, will, I think, be the most used sight in the game because of how simply good it is and how well balanced it is in any situation you ever get into. So, the most sites that they touched on and they introduced were the ACOG. However, the holographic was given a new look. Personally, I don't like it. It's very boxy and it's even more crowded towards the middle. There's a lot of lines. And not every single operator is dedicated to having to use the brand new holographic. However, some operators like Oryx, for example, for his MP5, were forced to take on the new look of the holographic. But the ones that most interestingly enough is we were introduced new magnifications of ACOGs. So the present day ACOG that we have right now is a 2.5 times magnification. We're being introduced to a 1.5, a 2, and a 3 along with the current 2.5 magnification ACOG. The 3 will be limited to DMRs, mostly on attack. We're obviously all on attack, which is, I think, perfect because I don't think I want to go against a dock with a 3-time scope or anything for that matter other than a DMR. And I think this buff is very much needed for the DMR anyways because even with the 2.5 scope, a lot of people tend not to use them despite only so many people having ACOGs because they have it for example, on Ash on her G36C, they have it for a lot of other operators like Jackal, or they have it for maybe Sledge or Thatcher, right? So all these other fully automatic assault rifles, obviously they're going to take over the semi-automatic DMRs. So I think this 3-time scope for only DMRs will make it especially helpful, especially on maps like Bank, where if they go on the 2nd floor in CEO office, and you just sit on the garage, instead of going like a Cali or a Glaz, or someone with a fully automatic gun where the recoil is kind of hard to control, you can just try to one-tap people with your 3-time scope DMR ACOG. And the most influential one of all of these, I think, will be the 1.5 times scope. The reason why I think the 1.5 times scope and kind of the 2-time scope are going to be so good and used the most is simply because of their versatility. So, right now, the only options you have, obviously, are the 1-time scopes for the red dot, holographic, and reflex sights, and the 2.5-time scope for the ACOG. That's a very big difference, and one of the biggest problems I have across both of them is with a holographic, I feel very uncomfortable peeking like an Ace or a Thatcher or a Sledge because they have an ACOG, even if I'm running like a good gun like an MP7 or a 416C with Jaeger. I just don't feel comfortable because they can see me much easier. It's easier to flick it on my head, right? But with an ACOG, sometimes when I'm playing Doc or Rook, I get someone behind me and I can't flick around fast enough, or there's someone in the very corner of my screen that I can't see because I'm tunnel visioned when I'm ADSing. The 1.5 times scope and the 2 times scope kind of solve problems for both. Because with a 1.5 versus a 1, I'll feel more comfortable kind of peeking ACOGs, so that way I can see them easier just as they can see me easier. and it's easier to not get so tunnel visions because you can still see your surroundings outside of your scope. And they're adding even more very interesting settings to the gun sights. For example, now you can change the color of the sight that's present on your gun sight. So this is very interesting because, as we know now, all of them are red except for the reflex, which is green. Now you can change them to whatever color you want, along with the opacity, which I love because there's so many guns now, like especially the Russian ACOG, where I feel like it's too crowded. I don't like the circles on it. If I can change the opacity, I feel like it's much less distracting and it's easier to see my target. And along those lines, I just love the fact that you can change the opacity. Now, as far as the new sights go, there have been some loadout switches with the guns that they're put on. Unfortunately, this goes with Doc the most, and he's going to be receiving what is known as, for now, the worst of the batch as it comes to their ACOG. Doc lost his ACOG 2.5 magnification, which is just the default ACOG we have now, but he doesn't even have the 2x scope. Rook also lost his ACOG, however now he still has a 2x scope, so it's not a complete loss, but Doc has lost his for both his P90 and his MP5, and all he's stuck with is the 1.5x magnification scope. Personally, I don't see a reason as to why this is so bad because I don't play Doc a lot, and honestly, I don't see that many people rocking Doc in the current meta we're in. However, this may cause some problems down the road because there might be some situations in this next season with the new meta change that Doc might be needed than this season, and I definitely think getting rid of his 2.5 times magnification scope away from his MP5 and P90 will definitely hurt him in the long run. Now, on the other hand, I hear that for their MP5Ks, both Mute and Wamai will be having access to the 1.5 times magnification scope. That will be a slight buff to them, as obviously the only thing they have closest to that right now is the holographic reflex and red dot sights. I think these additions will greatly help them. I hear that right now the community is loving the MP5K with this new scope, so I really hope, because of how underpicked they are, especially with how good Mute is in general with his ability, I really hope that his pick rate gets increased and his KD and win-loss also go up. So enough with the gun sights. There's one more pretty crucial thing that they added into the game that's on the test servers right now that I want to talk about, and it's a brand new gadget. I'm not really sure of what it's called right now. However, I do know what it looks like. I know what it does. Essentially, it's a new hard breaching thing. So I'm not sure what operators it's on other than Knock. I know it's on Knock. She has access to this circular kind of looking panel that you can put on any type of wall, and it's very easy to bend a trick, as it does take a long time for it to break the wall. However, it'll create a hole of which that you can then jump through, whether it's reinforced or soft. It's just another way of hard breaching a wall, which is very good for the attackers because, like I said, I think the attackers it's very easy to bandit trick them, even with a Kali, even with the Twitch. So I think the addition of this, even though it can be tricked relatively easily, I think giving it to like someone like a Knock, for example, who needs to get in the sight kind of sneakily, giving it to them so they can get into the back of sight where a wall's reinforced without being noticed too much is very good, without making like a loud sound like a thermite or having to bring an actual dedicated hard breacher like an ace. Now, the gadget is only limited to one, and I think that's a good thing, because if you brought a squad of these, there'd be no point to even bringing your hard breacher anymore, because you would have 5 of them, right? But good thing they only brought one, and I'm not sure what operators are on, but all I know is that this is a very good addition to the attackers, and I think it'll really change the way that hard breachers are brought into the game. So to wrap it up, I think Sam Zero Fisher will be a great addition to Team Rainbow for the attackers. I think his cameras will be of great use, especially with his frag grenades and all that stuff like that. And I really think this is going to be the first time ever since Mira has been introduced that she will not be the #1 banned defender. Because now she has, other than Twitch, she has a pretty solid counter, because the way he can put his cameras on floors above the mirror to pop them, I think that is incredibly powerful for the attackers now. And on the same side, with Doc losing his ACOG, he's not going to be played as much. However, for the attacking point, some underutilized attackers that now maybe have the new hard breaching technique, they might be picked a little bit more over like a Thermite or a Habana. So I think that's very good that they're doing this. And I think the new meta change will be a lot of fun. I'm hoping that it'll receive a lot of good comments back. I don't know what might be nerfed, what might be buffed, but overall, as of right now, it's looking like it's going to be one hell of a season. And that's it for Operation Shadow Legacy. Now, as Ubisoft has posted, it's supposed to get released in September for all platforms. However, this may be pushed back due to COVID-19, so do be patient. However, I myself am so excited to get my hands on Zero. I think he'll be so much fun to play, and I cannot wait for everything else to come out this season. Let me know what you guys think about Zero and all the other changes that are coming into the game this next season. I'm really curious as to what you guys think. So feel free to comment down below. Tell me what your favorite and least favorite things are about the things that I told you today. And maybe just talk about what you think about Zero in general. If it'll be broken, if it'll be balanced, or if you personally are going to play him a lot. And thank you guys. I know this is a very long video as there was a lot of things to cover, as this is a very big patch coming up. But if you guys made it all the way through this, I really appreciate it for dedicating your time to watching my video. Like I said, if you liked it, please feel free to subscribe and like the video. And as always, see you guys in the next one.